What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of But That's Just Me, the podcast. I'm your host, Trone,
It's your co-host Gary.
and we're here to talk about my favorite team, your favorite team, our favorite team, the Miami Heat. Now, before we get back, before we get into the episode, I know we've been missing for a couple of weeks, but we back to talking about our team, this team that we've chosen to make our favorites, and how much they're how much they're doing and putting us through, and so we're gonna get back into it, but before we jump into just a couple of topics that we had on our mind. We're gonna go through our points and leaders, our leaders in points, sorry, points, rebounds, and assists. And honestly, like, it hasn't changed from the beginning of the season, really. Like, everybody who you expect to be leading in certain categories are leading in those categories. So we have Jimmy, who's leading in points with 22 points a game. We have Bam, who's leading in rebounds at 9. That's actually gone down, but we're definitely going to talk about that. We have Kyle Lowry, who I don't know how, but he's still leading the team in assists and with 5.2 points. And he's been, I think he missed probably like 15 games. So I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know. We have blocks with Bam at point 0.8, and steals we have Jimmy with 1.9. Um, so yeah, let's we gonna get straight into it. Our record right now, we're 38-33. We're sitting in seventh place right now, which that's still playing territory. Um, yeah, I it's 14 games left in the season, I want to say, and earlier on the first episode, very first episode, episode 1, I said we were finishing fourth. It's not looking too good unless we go on a 14 game win streak and the rest of the teams just start like spiraling down. Um, So yeah, we're currently at seventh. You're in the playing tournament. I don't really have any worries about that, but I'll also touch on that just a little bit later. Um, and our BTJ MVP of the week, it's very obvious that is Jimmy Butler. Um, he's the only person consistently going out there every night, showing with some heart. Like, he's the only one. I don't think anybody else would deserve it at this point in time. Um,
All right.
Bam, he had a drop off, and speaking of that, shout out to Jimmy. I don't want to just, I don't want to just like just gloss over that, super quick. But shout out to Jimmy. Like, he's definitely very deserving of that BTJ MVP of the week. But as I mentioned, he's the only one going out there showing some heart, and that leads me right into our first topic, Bam Adebayo. What's going on? What's going on with your boy Gary?
I know, man. I think it's just the fact it's a whole team thing. To be honest, like nobody is putting in effort, and
Right,
it shows. It shows, especially with Bam,
right,
that drop off after the All Star break. Um, you could see it at times. He's not like trying to look to score like he was before the All Star break,
right.
and the defensive side, he's not putting that much effort either.
Nah,
But that's just a reflection of like the entire team. Like the whole team just looks down, to be honest.
right. Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point the with the aggressiveness. Like, he looks completely out of it. Like, he looks like he doesn't want to be there. Um, which is crazy. Like, because I don't remember anything happening, to the point where it would get him upset. In their last game that they had, which is one that we're going to talk about against Memphis, um, he started showing signs of his old self, but I don't know exactly like what's going on. Like, he dropped off in rebounding. He was averaging 10 rebounds a game, 9.4. I mean, it's not like that is that far off, but he's having way more like single digit rebounding games than he's having double digit rebounding games. It's not like the teams that we've been playing in these last couple of weeks have been, teams with like the greatest rebounders in the world, but yet we're consistently getting our rebound. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know what's going on, but since All Star break, he's just been bad, and I can't figure out what it is.
Yeah, you really cannot excuse like the way he's playing now,
Mm-hmm.
but I always knew from the beginning, like with the fact that Bam has to play elite on both sides of the floor, like offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
At one point in the season, he was gonna get tired because nobody is helping on offense, and nobody's helping on defense except for like Jimmy or Caleb or something like that.
Yeah, facts.
But yeah, I knew for a fact that at one point that was gonna happen, and
Right.
also the fact that Jimmy, you know, he has a tendency of like cruising at the beginning of the season,
Oh yeah,
and then
facts.
once the last half of the season begins, like he's like the reincarnation of Michael Jordan or something. But yeah, but it's also that. But
Nah, that
hopefully we see some change.
no, yeah, yeah. I completely agree with that. Like, which is weird too. But let me ask you a question too. So, do you think that do you think with what's his name, Kevin Love coming in, and like how they have him and Kevin Love starting together, do you think Kevin Love, or like the addition of Kevin Love, kind of like threw Bam off of his game?
Um, I mm, I don't really think so because the way Kevin Love is being used is mostly like just pick and pops, or they just find him at
Right.
the 3 point line. It's not like he's clogging like the mid range area, which is usually where Bam get his most of his shots from,
Right.
or the paint. I don't think so. I think it's just more of Bam hasn't been as aggressive as he was before the All Star break.
Right, I agree. Yeah, I mean, because obviously, just adding a new player, and like tinkering with the team chemistry, that can affect the way teams play. That can affect the way stars play, and so I was just curious to see like if we thought there was any correlation between Kevin Love and Kevin Love joining in the drop off in Bam's play, but Bam hasn't been the only one, because we have Tyler Hero, who is, I feel like we had this conversation before, but like Hero is being way too inconsistent. Like some nights you get Hero 8 for 11, some nights you get Hero 4 for 19. there's no there's really no real like in between, and like I like Tyler Hero. I've said that a bunch of times. I think he's a really good player, but at some point, like we have to stop with like if Tyler is gonna ever turn into the player that he thinks he can be, and that a lot of Heat fans think he can be, he has to start being way more consistent with his play. Like he needs to bring it every night. He needs to he because you have those Tyler plays where he's just like crossing half court and pulling from three. Um, but then you have those Tyler plays where he's letting plays get set for him. He's getting in his rhythm, and then he's doing what he needs to do. But I don't like. It feels like there's no in between, or there's no like solid point between those two Tylers. Like it seems like we're either getting one Tyler or the other Tyler, and we have to depend on the one or the other Tyler to be really really good at all times, and he's not giving us that.
Yeah. One thing I did notice between this season and
Mm-hmm.
previous seasons, where like his scoring was a bit consistent
Mm-hmm.
throughout the season,
Right.
is one thing he stopped doing is taking those floaters. I don't see him taking as many floaters as he used to before.
Right.
Like this season, I've noticed that he's settling a lot for 3 point shots. I mean, he's a decent shooter, but
Yeah.
when it comes to efficiency, you have to be at least like above average
Right.
at all three levels So
True. True.
seeing him, I wish he could drive more to the basket and take that floater here and there, um, and or try to take contact,
Right.
which I've noticed he has been doing sometimes. Like he's been driving to the basket trying to take contact,
Right.
but they don't call it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Because he falls a lot.
if he just starts getting into that rhythm,
Hmm.
driving to the basket a lot more, I think it will help with that efficiency
And the thing
rather
too.
than.
No, I'm sorry. I
Mhm.
didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, just rather than just settling for the three. That was it.
Right, right. And that's the crazy part too is that like at this point in Tyler's career and like just what he's accomplished for the 4 years that he's been in, I think maybe 3 or 4 years, he's respected enough from the three-point line to where he can get defenders to close out on him and then like drive to the lane and hit that floater. Um
Hmm.
I don't get it to where he's just, even though when defenders are closing out on him, and like you mentioned, he's a pretty decent three-point shooter, but in those games where defenders are closing out at you, if you don't have it going, from three, if you're already like 1 for 6, start driving to the rim. Like, I mean, granted, you might get hit and you may not get your call, but eventually, like, they have to start calling these fouls. So I agree. And then I think once he opens it up to where he's driving and hitting those floaters, he'll like he can get his confidence back, get in his rhythm, and then when it's time to start hitting those threes towards the end of the games and the clutch times in the games, he'll be good to go.
Right.
And so
All right.
yeah, you know, just trying to get wanting Tyler to be more consistent. Like that's all I want.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think last game, the game against Memphis
Hmm.
was a good look into what might be
Right.
with Kyle coming off the bench.
And that's
And
yep, yep.
one thing I did notice is that the offense is a lot more fluid
Yep.
when with Kyle coming off the bench and Hero
Hmm.
being that backup guard right next to him.
Yep.
It's yeah, it looked more consistent because of
Right.
Kyle for sure.
Right. And that's that. And as much as we spoke, like we both spoke about it at the trade deadline, getting rid of Kyle Lowry is not working. He's not doing what's necessary for him to do. And I guess we had to see him disappear and come back because he's definitely added something to the team. Um, I wasn't expecting much. Like when I saw that he was coming back, I wasn't expecting much. I'm just like, I mean, Kyle Lowry, like he don't come back. He's averaging 11. He averaging like about 12 points a game. So I'm not expecting much from Kyle. Like, but then he came back and he's coming off the bench, and it I don't know if they're gonna continue the bench role into the playoffs, but he seems to be embracing the bench role. Like he's running with that second unit, and like you mentioned with Hero, playing to the side of him, he's definitely becoming what we thought he could become if he started to come off the bench. And I respect it. I think he's doing a great job. Granted, he's only been back about 3 games, so the sample size is kind of small. But if they can, like, if he can buy into that role, and I mean, he's gonna end up ending the game with the starters anyway. So if he can just continue that, like to keep up that level of productivity with Bam on the bench, with Jimmy on the bench, and he's the one running that unit, I think we can be okay. I think we could be good.
I think so too. I agree. And also because of that, like Lowry coming off the bench,
Mm-hmm.
and I also saw that Oladipo didn't get any playing time,
Bro.
which
Oh my
um
gosh.
I don't know how I feel about that, but I did know that with Kyle being out,
Mm-hmm.
there was like no floor general on the
Mm-hmm.
court, and Spo was trying to make Oladipo a point guard, which is not. I've always known Oladipo as a shooting guard.
Right.
He's not really a playmaker. He's more of your go-to scorer. Like,
Right. Right.
so I feel like Oladipo was playing out of position this whole time,
Mm-hmm.
which I respect the fact that he stayed. You know, he tried to do that, but it's just not his game. You know,
No.
and I like that Kyle is back, even though, like you said before, we wanted him gone
Yeah.
by All Star break,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah. I
you
was.
could see you could notice the difference of
Mm-hmm.
how the offense is being ran when
Yep.
he's on the court.
Yeah. And I think too. I think that he felt that not only like Heat fans, but also the Heat team wanted him gone. Like Kyle, like wanted Kyle gone. So he, made up in his mind that when he came back, he was going to show that he was still of value, which he's been doing so far. Like these past 3 games that he's been back, he's been very valuable. So I can't get mad at that. But to your Oladipo point, you said you don't know how you feel about it. I know how I feel about it. I never want to see Victor Oladipo. I'm looking to the. I never want to see Victor Oladipo shoot another 3-point shot ever again as long as he plays for the Miami Heat. Every Oh my gosh. You know that feeling you get when like you're watching like Steph play, and Steph he'll shoot a 3 and you just get the feeling you like, "Oh, yeah, that's good. He going to hit that."
Mhm.
I get the complete opposite feeling.
That's so true, yeah.
Every time, bro, I get the complete opposite feeling. Every time Victor Oladipo shoots a 3-point shot, I'm like, damn, the shot's not gonna go in. Damn, the shot's not gonna go in. I hate it. I hate it. I don't want to see him shoot the three. It's not a coincidence. Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that he got no playing time against Memphis, and we got off like this was our second blowout of the season. First one was against New Orleans. Second one was against Memphis. I shouldn't know how many blowouts we have as a team, but here we are. There's it's not a surprise that he doesn't play. He doesn't take really bad 3-pointers. This could be from his injury and him still trying to get back into gameplay shape. But he just looks slow. Like every time, like everything he does looks slow. The explosiveness is not there. And granted, that I'm not blaming him for because he had two like really bad leg injuries. So I'm of course I'm not gonna blame him for for having his leg injuries and not being explosive and dunking on people. I don't care about that. I care about when it's 4 seconds left on the clock or 7 seconds or whatever left on the clock, and you're dribbling the ball and the person is guarding you, and you take a bad shot when you're not a good 3-point shooter. That's what I care about. That's what upsets me. So I'm sorry. It's just every game, and I'm just like, bro, I really want you to never shoot another 3-pointer as long as you wear a Miami Heat uniform again with the number 4 in it. Don't shoot 3-pointers.
No, I completely agree. Is I like Oladipo a lot, but the fact that he loves to settle for that 3-pointer. He's never been a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Like he could hit it here and there,
Right.
but come on, you've always been known as a slasher. Like, come on, take it to the basket, try to draw a foul.
Right.
Now, I feel like it's like you mentioned the leg injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that has messed with his confidence.
Right.
To take it to the basket.
Right.
I do believe that, which is why he's settling for the 3-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, you're killing us with this 3-pointers,
Every
bro.
time.
Like,
Every time. Every time.
it's just crazy.
And like you said, like, we are used to him being a slasher. And I'm not even saying slash and trying to dunk on the defender. I'm saying slash to the rim because people know you as a slasher. And once you slash, somebody's gonna like they're gonna collapse on you, or you're gonna get the open floater or layup. So let them collapse on you, dish it out to our actual 3-point shooters, even though we don't have many of those left. But we got some left. But shoot it to the actual like dish it off to the actual 3-point shooters. Stop shooting threes. Like
Mm.
I can't. And then like we mentioned also too, like you mentioned when with Lowry being out, and Spo trying to make Oladipo a point guard, a playmaker, that's also not working because he gets a lot of turnovers. We get a lot of turnovers as a team. That's just like the Heat way, like just to turn the ball over. But we don't need you coming in off the bench and then contributing to turning the ball over. So that's what I don't want Victor. When Victor Oladipo comes into the game, I want Victor Oladipo to slash to the rim, and I want him to play lock up defense. That's all I want him to do. I don't want him shooting 3 pointers. I don't want him handling the ball for an extended period of time. It's a couple of people on the team, honestly, that I don't want handling the ball for an extended period of time. Oladipo, Bam is another one because Bam always tends to bring the ball up and then he ends up doing something where he turns the ball over. So it's those are my two don't handle the ball when you're coming down list. They all
This
top two, all NBA,
when
don't handle the ball.
when it when it comes to turnovers, one thing I despise is when Bam tries to like when he's getting a pass, right?
Yep.
He's the master pass fumbler.
Yep.
Yo, it's like he has butterfingers on his hands. He
I
can't
don't know.
catch the ball for nothing. I'm like, come on, bro.
And
You
and
got you cannot be doing that.
and with that, like not only that, but like you're an integral part of the offense now. You're averaging 21 points a game now. So you're part of the offense. Why are you never expecting the ball? Like, I don't get it. You know it's coming to you. So I don't know. Like, and then like you said, he fumbles the ball, and by him fumbling the ball, that gives the other team a chance to recover. So it's just just little things. Little things is just pissing me off. And but we do have our saving grace because that's what he is. Jimmy Butler, super consistent, shooting over 50% from the field. Um, it's not much to say about him. Like you said, in the beginning of the season, bro is out here looking like, look, I don't even know who bro looking like. He out here looking like, I don't know, just somebody that's not great. End of the season, playoff time, he's looking like Jordan. Like these last few
Yeah.
games, he's been looking like Jordan. And
Mhm.
that's commendable. Like he is our star player for a reason. Um so I mean, shout outs to Jimmy. Like he's ready to go. He's locked in. And as long as we can get our other two star players, I'm not counting Kyle Lowry anymore. I'm just gonna accept what Kyle Lowry gives us and be happy with it. But as long as we can get our other two players, Bam Adebayo, um, Tyler Hero, to do what they are put on the floor to do, we will be fine. I think we'll be fine in the playoffs. We got to go through the playing tournament. I think Atlanta is the eighth seed, so we will probably end up playing them. We just got to win one game. If we did play them, like if the playoffs started today, I'm confident that we can beat Atlanta. Like I'm not too worried about that. Um, and then I think as the seventh seed, well, we'll play the two seed, so probably Boston in the first round. Which I mean, we,
Tough one.
that can go either way because Boston has been struggling lately too. Like they
Mhm.
lost to the Rockets, and I mean, not too many teams lost to the Rockets. So, but yeah, Jimmy, he's in that mode. If we can just and Bam last night, I think Bam had like 28 points last night in the Memphis game. So if we can get Bam and Hero to stay consistent and give Jimmy the help that he needs while playing the type of defense that we played against Memphis, I have no reason to believe we won't be fine in the playoffs, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But that's just me moment of the week. But I think we'll be okay. But Jimmy Butler, shout out to him because without him, we'll be getting Victor Wembanyama, and I don't even think we got drafted. So so it's it, it's it's interesting. This has been a really frustrating season, honestly.
A roller coaster for sure.
Yeah, and I don't I don't know. It's been a interesting season. It's been an interesting season. I don't want to downplay that. Like it's not like we've been great this entire time because we haven't been. But
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, that I don't want to put too much credit because, like you mentioned before, it has been a small sample size.
hmm
But just having Kyle Lowry on the court, it's just it everything just runs smoother.
it does.
Like our guard play when Kyle was out was so like below
Yep,
average. It was
dysfunctional.
not fun to watch.
Nope.
But now you can see like Bam is getting the ball when he should.
Right.
Jimmy is just Jimmy. He's doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler is doesn't have to. I guess you could say second guess himself at times because sometimes he'll be looking for his shot, but then sometimes he'll settle like to look for his teammates.
Right.
And Tyler is a scorer. Come on, you gotta like put him in the position to score. So
Yep.
that's what Kyle is there for, and I'm glad he's back. To be honest,
Right.
we now looking back at it, I kind of miss Lowry.
Yeah, no, yeah. You start to appreciate. You don't know
Yeah,
what you don't know what you got till it's gone.
right,
And
right.
I think too, like I know for me personally, like I was putting too much expectations into Kyle Lowry, and I think it came from that. I think it was like a 4 game stretch where he was like averaging over like 20 points a game, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like Kyle could do this, the whole thing. But then when Bam and Jimmy came back, he wasn't doing that, and then I allowed myself to get upset at something that I shouldn't have allowed myself to get upset about. Um, Once again, he's been leading our team in assists all season long. He missed 15 games. That should tell us everything we need to know. That he's still leading our team in assists. So that's definitely one welcome addition back to the team, and another welcome addition that I think we really need to focus on, and kind of like it's two 2 points. Uh, Duncan Robinson, I'm gonna need him to get back in the get his minutes back over Struess. Struess is not it this season. I don't know what happened. Struess, he forgot how to shoot. I don't know what happened.
I, mm, I I'm 50-50 on that. I
Right.
think that when Duncan is hitting, like his is so like so satisfying just seeing those threes going.
Mm-hmm.
But Duncan does have a tendency to catch fouls, a lot of
Oh
fouls
yeah,
early,
that's
which
true.
doesn't help the team at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I'd rather, for now, I mean, nobody's hitting threes, so it doesn't
yeah,
even matter who's on the court.
yeah. That's good.
Um, but for now, I'd rather have that extra defense with Max, even though like it's not that crazy.
Right, right. No, I mean
But
it's something though. I completely understand what you're saying. I get it. I get it.
yeah, but yeah, like we just gotta wait and see. Now that I feel like I have to watch at least like 5 more games with
Right,
Kyle on the court to see how everything plays out.
right.
But nah, if Strus is like messing up, I agree. I agree. Duncan should take his minutes.
Yeah, facts. And I mean, I don't know what I don't know what the rotation is gonna be like when we get to the playoffs. Um, I mean, but I feel like it's either gonna be Struess or Duncan. I don't think both of them are gonna get a great amount of minutes. So,
Mhm.
we definitely have to keep a eye out for that. So but also too, just with people coming back, just randomly in the Orlando game, Yurtsevin made his debut. And when I
Mhm.
say randomly, it was randomly. I don't think he was gonna play that night. But he came in. Cody Zeller got hurt, and speaking of Cody Zeller, big shouts out to Cody Zeller. He's been playing amazing. Um, I have nothing
Facts.
but great things to say about him. Like he seems poised. Like, and we kind of talked about it and kind of joked about it a little bit when he first signed with the team about his about him being drafted number 4, and how that was high. He got drafted over Giannis. Blah 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 blah. But the way that he plays the game, like, and the way that, like, for what he's asked to do, you could see why a team, maybe not, but this is just my opinion. Um,
Mhm.
you could see why he got picked where he got picked for what he's asked to do. Like, you're not asking him to go to in the game and get 30 and 20 rebounds. Like, that's not what you're asking for. You're asking him to be a rebounder, get his team second chance opportunities, um, get rebounds on the defensive end. Um, Trail, when you get the ball, lay the ball up. Um, he's not shoot. He hasn't been like taking jump shots as much, but that's fine because he's getting into the paint and scoring in the paint. I can't wait for him to come back. I know Yurtseven just came back from injury, but in the G League, I mean, he was in the G League killing, looking like a young Chris Bosh. And then when he came back to the team, granted he was just thrusted into a game back into NBA competition, but these 3 games that I seen from him, I'm not really liking it. And it's gonna take some time. Like, I'm not expecting him to just come back and be what he's expected to be. But right now he's not it. And I miss Cody Zeller. And that's kind of weird to say because we have won our last 2 games. But I'm not, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, Cody, I agree. Cody is definitely needed
Mm-hmm.
because like defense wise, he's way 10 times way better than Yurt for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and you could even see that from I think it was the Memphis game where Yurtseven had like 3 fouls
Yeah.
and like
And
what was it, like
like 6 minutes.
3 minutes
Yeah, it
or
was
for
like,
6 minutes or
like six
something like
minutes.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Crazy.
was crazy. Like, and they had to put Ban back in. Ban
Right.
ain't couldn't even rest. Like,
Right.
but yeah, they definitely need Cody back for
Yep.
sure, for
Yep.
sure,
And
for sure.
hopefully he has like a facial uh fracture, I believe it is. I know he had to get stitches in that Orlando game. But hopefully he gets well soon. And speaking of that Orlando game, like, this episode we're not gonna go over every game that we had in the last 2 weeks, but there were a couple noticeable ones, notable ones. That loss against the Knicks, ugh, that just
Um,
upset me because that shot that Julius Randle hit, BS. Listen, I said on
but
one episode before, where I had my one of my guests on, um, we were talking about Julius Randle. He's a Knick fan, so we were talking about Julius Randle, and I was just like, I don't like Julius Randle because one night I bet on him, and he messed me up. It cost me $500, like, to just do stuff that he should be doing, catching rebounds, and he couldn't even do that. So since that day, I was like, you know what, screw Julius Randle. But of course, he's the one that gets that win over us. And I'm just like, bruh,
yeah,
of course, my luck.
but you know what though? I wasn't even surprised when I went in because those are the type of shots that always go in against the Heat. They
That's very
always
true.
go in.
That's very
Like,
true.
like, come on, bro. Like, I was so disappointed when he made that. I'm
Just
like, yeah,
falling
you
out
know
of
what? You
bounds.
got it, bro.
Bro, yeah,
Like, that's
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
wasn't expect. I was just expecting it at that point.
That no, you're right. You're right. Just falling out of bounds. Didn't lose the ball out of bounds. Didn't step out of bounds. Just three, boom. Hi, but
Nothing
whatever.
but net too. Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
what, bro?
nothing but net. It looked beautiful when it went in.
Right.
But so yeah, that's one of those games, and I just needed to talk about that because that Julius Randle, of course. The other noticeable game, which was very frustrating. That was the game that Kyle came back. I think that was the game Kyle came back. Um, and it was frustrating because Jimmy, we made it to overtime. We played from behind. Jimmy started going crazy. He had 38 points.
Mhm.
We made it to overtime. On a well, he got fouled on the 3-pointer. They didn't call the well, they called the foul, but no, I'm sorry, they didn't call the foul actually, but we got the ball back, was able to tie it up. With Jimmy Butler doing what he needed to do. Then we get into overtime and couldn't score, couldn't buy a basket. Jimmy walked off the court before the game was over and ended up getting the team attack, and I don't blame him. I would have walked off the court too. Like if y'all not gonna play hard, like I'm playing like hard, y'all not gonna play hard. Why am I going crazy? So yeah, I don't blame him for walking off the court. I don't think that makes him look like a bad teammate. I think with this Miami Heat team, Jimmy's a great teammate, and I never understood the notion. I wasn't always the biggest Jimmy Butler fan, but I never understood the notion that he was a bad teammate just because he wanted his teams to compete. How does that make you a bad teammate? Like all I'm asking you is to do what you get paid to do, which is play hard and play basketball.
Oh yeah, I agree. And the funny part about that is that after that shot Jimmy made at the end of the fourth quarter to tie
Mm-hmm.
the game and send us to OT, we go to OT and he doesn't touch the basketball for the whole overtime. I'm like,
Makes zero
yo,
sense.
like
Yeah.
he has 35 points. Give him the basketball. I'm screaming. I'm screaming at my screen like, "Yo, come on! Like, what is going on?" And nobody's hitting shots.
Nope.
Nobody's hitting shots.
Nope. Just
So at least give it to the person that's actually making shots the whole game. Like,
nah.
it's crazy. It's just
They
crazy.
that would take too much common sense. Like, but yeah, like, and obviously he walked off the court. They made a big deal
Hmm.
about that, about him walking off the court. And it just watching Jimmy play like night in, night out. Like I'm starting to see, on his teams in Chicago, Philly, Minnesota, he wasn't a bad teammate. He just expected the people that are getting paid 25, $30 million to play hard and care about winning basketball games. Like it's
Yeah.
not hard. Like luckily, Bam and Tyler are averaging 20, like over 20 points a game, because I'm pretty sure at this point they will be feeling the wrath of Jimmy, like of people, getting paid big money and not producing. And they would be feeling the wrath of Jimmy Butler, which would be completely justified.
No, I agree. I also wasn't the biggest Jimmy Butler fan when he was playing for the Bulls
Hmm.
because him rising to stardom was like kind of overshadowing
Yeah.
D Rose's stardom
Right.
as well. So I was like, I'm a big D Rose fan. So
Right.
me seeing that, I was like, yo, like, come on, bro. Like, you're taking over and stuff. Like,
Right.
you're not even like that. But having him on this team now, I could see the like just who he is as a person. Like, he just wants to win, like you
Yeah.
said. Like,
Yeah. And it's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like he, if I'm giving you, or if the team that we're on is giving you this amount of money, like you're expected to produce at that rate. Nobody's
right.
asking for anything, for you to do anything crazy. Like just produce at the rate that we ask you to produce at. But but yeah, that was one of the other games. Then our last game, which was the win against Memphis, it was a blowout. Of course, Ja Morant, he isn't playing, and I have thoughts on that too. But I'll probably save that for another episode about Ja Morant.
Mhm.
Just as a basketball fan, but of course, Morant wasn't there. Desmond Bain ended up getting kicked out, and we got a big lead. And to the regular person, that may sound like, oh yeah, I mean the Heat, they were supposed to win that game by a lot of points. But if you're thinking that, then you have never watched the Miami Heat basketball game. We don't win games when the other team stars out. We don't win games when we have a big lead, like for a majority of the game. Those are the games we end up losing.
We don't
So
even have games with big leads. Like, it's
exactly,
crazy.
exactly. So like let like that's a big deal. Us winning that game against Memphis under those circumstances, that's a huge deal. We did it earlier against New Orleans, which was our only other blowout that we had. So um And I was happy. I was happy. It didn't feel, it wasn't anxiety filled. I'm not standing up yelling at my TV, scaring my kids and everything. Them telling me I'm too loud. Um, so
Right.
that was good. I like wins like that. Hopefully we can continue that trend. Um, but yeah, so I kind of alluded to it earlier. Um, just concerning the us making the playoffs and like what I expect and what I think we're gonna do in the playoffs. But now we're gonna move into the but that's just me moment of the week. So although we haven't played great this season, just knowing this team, we're gonna make the playoffs and we're gonna have a deep run. I just I just feel that way. Like I've watched this team long enough to know that in the playoffs, they are like a different beast. Unless we're in a position where we're completely outmatched, um, by our team, by the team that we're playing up against. But I know this team, and we're gonna end up getting it right, just like right at the end, making the playoffs, getting a deep run. Getting into a deep run. So it sounds crazy. I'm aware. It definitely does sound crazy, but I have no reason to think otherwise just based off of, being a fan just as long as I have. So, deep run playoffs, even though we haven't been playing great, and you might not agree, but that's just me, my
Yeah,
opinion.
nah. My my BTJM moment of the week. It has to be Jimmy's play for the past, just after All Star break.
Mm-hmm.
Just his play overall
Right.
is he's been carrying the team as he should.
Yep.
Um, like I said again, it's that time of the year. Michael Jordan's son has come out. The league needs to be ready, especially for whoever we run against in the
Yep.
playoffs.
Yep.
Once we make that first round, just get ready, yeah, because it's gonna be a tough. It's gonna be a long 7 games if it gets to that. But
Yep. Yep. Nope.
yeah,
See that take I completely agree with. So you know right now we are sitting in seventh place. We're only one game behind behind the Brooklyn Nets to get into the sixth seed and out the play-in round, which is not impossible. It won't be impossible to get out of. We can definitely make that sixth seed. Um, Honestly, we can go all the way up to fifth, just depending on how these last few games play out. We can definitely make the fifth seed. Um, and with the fifth seed, we would end up what is that, playing the fourth seed, which would be the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I'm okay with. Like I think we could. I think if the superstars play like superstars, I feel like our superstars will be better than their superstars. Um, so that's definitely something to look forward to. Um, and speaking of looking forward to, our next couple of games that we have coming up will be against the Chicago Bulls, the Detroit Pistons, the New York Knicks, and the Brooklyn Nets. Um, to the game that we have against the Brooklyn Nets too, that whenever we do that episode, I will have special guests on there for that episode. My boy K Smith, he's a Nets fan, but he's like an actual Nets fan that was a Nets fan when they were the New Jersey Nets and they were losing a lot.
mm,
And I used to make a lot of fun of him in high school. And he's
okay.
he's been on he's been on twice before, so he's gonna be the first 3 time guest, like actual guest on here. So I'm looking forward to that episode. That should be fun. New York Knicks, one of my other boys, he's a Knicks fan, and when after Julius hit that shot, he texted me immediately and was like, "Yo, I need to I need to come back on." need to come back on the pod. So I
Yeah.
mean, this is what we've been dealing with. This I wish I'm like weird. I should have started this podcast last season when we was number one, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Then nobody would have wanted to be on it, talk trash. But
Yeah.
but yeah, we back. We don't plan on missing any more episodes. We getting to the right to the clutch part of the season. And the playoffs will be starting soon, so we'll definitely be here weekly, as we've been. So you got anything else? Get off your chest.
Um, I just wanted to just mentioning the next four games
Hmm.
this team is playing. Like Chicago and Detroit. Those are like they have to win those games.
Right. Yeah.
But like New York and Brooklyn, they have to
Yeah.
win those
Facts.
games for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
That's a must win right there.
Exactly.
Just because of the seeding.
Because Brooklyn and New York are the teams right above us, in
Hmm.
the fifth and sixth spots. So yeah, those games are going to be extremely important. So yeah,
Definitely.
we'll definitely we'll definitely see what we have in these next games. We got about 2 days off. Like we don't play again until the 18th. So honestly, by the time you guys are hearing this episode or watching this episode, we probably would have either played those games or it'll be the day of playing that game against Chicago. So if it's nothing else to talk about, we glad to be back. Um, make sure you guys like, subscribe on the video. Definitely appreciate all the support, all the help. So yeah, we'll holla at you guys next episode next week. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.